Man, and you have a great story. Thanks for joining us here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you. Great for having me.
You brought with you here your product that you invented this how long ago?
You might remember Water Babies. We celebrated our 25th birthday last year.
25th birthday. So 25 years ago, you started this company called Water Babies.
Yes.
And what is it? It
was a childhood memory of sisters making dolls out of water balloons.
Yes.
It's now one of the best-selling dolls ever.
Now, you brought in one of these things. How many of these have you sold?
24 million.
You've sold 24 million of these Water Babies.
Crazy.
All around the world.
Yes.
And you started right here in St. Louis.
Right here in St. Louis.
All right. Also joining us here is Brian Dixon. Brian is with Capital Innovators, also can tell us all about the traffic. Good morning, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. So the two of you are here to talk about what? How to help businesses get startup capital and how it all works?
It's a great time to be an entrepreneur in the world today. I graduated from UMSL in '83. And when I started Water Babies, there was no ecosystem. There was no accelerators.
Right.
So what we're really doing is we're combining the power of a university with its faculty and its students with the power of a top 10 ranked accelerator to in a thought-leading Ameren Accelerator to look for energy solutions from around the world, energy startups.
Brian, how does this work? What do you bring to the table with all this?
Absolutely. So with Capital Innovators, we're very experienced with working with startup companies and investing in them. We've invested now in 73 companies. Those companies have gone on to raise over $235 million in follow-on funding and created over 700 jobs, 95% of which are in St. Louis. So we're very good at investing in early-stage businesses and scaling them quickly.
What are you looking for?
We are looking for companies that are cutting edge in the energy tech space. So that's a very broad definition. It could be anything from solar to electric to things like cybersecurity and infrastructure, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology that applies to the energy space, a very broad realm of what we're looking for.
So, I mean, you're more or less like your own Shark Tank? You look at these things and you say yes or no?
Sure. What we hope to have happen is to get 200 or 300 of the best energy entrepreneurs from around the globe to submit. We'll cull it down to about 15. We'll bring in Ameren energy experts and system experts and mentors to do a Shark Tank to go from 15. Ameren will have the opportunity to invest in between 5 and 10. It's a very generous and very lucrative opportunity, $100,000 to these startups.
Okay.
And with the benefits that Capital Innovators and UMSL brings, we think that each winning candidate will get over $1 million worth of value.
And so what does the company have to give you for $100,000?
7% of their equity stake.
Just 7%. Do they have to move to St. Louis?
They do. They'll be in St. Louis for the course of the 12-week program. After that, we recommend they locate wherever is best for growing their business.
So they don't have to stay here in St. Louis?
Not necessarily.
But the idea is that they will have become a Cardinal fan and they'll love KTRS radio and they'll love you and they'll say this is a great place to start a business.
I'm sure you've been talking about the booming Cortex industry.
Sure.
So UMSL has now space at CIC co-sponsored with Ameren. And we're going to collaborate. They talk about density and spontaneous collisions.
Right.
Well, we've got this awesome top 10 accelerator program right in Cortex that hopefully will scale these companies.
Here's what I don't understand about you money guys. It's really expensive to live in the East Coast or the West Coast. It's really expensive for office space. It's really expensive for all of those things. Why aren't people banging down our doors here in the Midwest to start your companies? It's less expensive. It's a fraction of the cost. And with technology, you don't need to live on the coasts.
Well, that's why a lot of the companies are moving here. And like I mentioned before, 95% of our portfolio companies stay in St. Louis following the program, whether they came from out of the state or from out of the country. And that's because that exact reason. It's 1/5 of the cost to build a business in St. Louis.
Right.
And it's like, why wouldn't you? We're getting investors that are calling us from Silicon Valley, calling us from New York, loving our companies because they can scale so quickly and they're much more capital efficient than having to spend $3,500 on office space for 4 in Silicon Valley.
The coasts don't have anything on us. This is a first ever university-driven accelerator powered by energy utility in the world, and it's right here in St. Louis.
For websites, more information?
AmerenAccelerator.com, and we are taking applications until May 12th, so we've got to hurry.
So come one, come all.
Come one, come all.
How far along do they have to be in business? Can it be just, do they have to have any sales? Can it be just totally in their head?
Our sweet spot for the program is companies that have a product or service developed, they've taken it to market, maybe they've got some customers to give them some feedback, they've generated a little bit of revenue.
We're experiencing unintended benefits. There's large companies that are seeing this that are wanting to play. This is a proof of concept. So Ameren's very flexible in terms of finding solutions and talking to companies and scouting around So if you have a company that you think may be farther along, apply anyway,
Yeah.
because we're in a conversation.
How many people work for Water Babies?
Well, it's hard to count because it's made in China.
Okay.
And,
Well, but here in St. Louis,
I'm a
huh?
licensor. I get a royalty for every doll sold.
So you've
I don't
sold it
do-
in
I
the-
rent.
you-
I rent the rights.
Right, you rent the rights.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Water Baby, but you invented Water Babies.
Right.
But so you've sold the
So
rights.
we did a market here in St. Louis. It was so well accepted. We sold over 15,000 in a 3-week period, and then the Mattels and Hasbro's came calling.
Right.
So for every doll sold, we get a royalty.
So you sold it off, basically.
It's a rent. It's like a record.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Brian, give us a sense. Give us one or two companies you've invested in that have sort of gone on to do something great that we might know about.
Absolutely. Locker Dome here in St. Louis. They're located downtown, very
Sure.
successful company. And then in addition to that, Label Insight is another St. Louis company in the labeling nutrition space. Another big success story for us is called Gainsight. That company we invested in, helped them get their first 3 or 4 marquee clients, exit our position, but now they're a $500+ million company located in Chesterfield.
Tell us about the next company that's coming up that we might not have heard about.
Sure. We have an interesting company right now named Semantics. They're in the artificial intelligence space that's in natural language processing, and they're applying that technology to scan through medical records for hospital systems to make things more efficient.
There you go. Brian Dixon with Capital Innovators and Dan Lauer. The website, one more time?
AmerenAccelerator.com.
There you go. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Good, exciting stuff here in St. Louis. 811. Make it 812.